Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Vobes show on Friday, the 20th of March, 2020. Here we are again, and I hope you are well, especially under the current situation. You probably found yourselves locked in by now. I'm sure that the army is parading up and down the street wherever you happen to be, making sure that you don't come out in any shape or form and enjoy you. By the way, the internet people are now having to reduce the quality of the transmissions into people's homes because so many people are stuck at home using the internet. So if this show does by any chance sort of deteriorate, if, for example, my jokes aren't as funny as normal, or if I start singing unexpectedly, that's actually not down to me. That's down to the providers of your internet who are going back to the days of throttling their customers by asking them to pay more. Let's find out who we've got out there. Big turnout, which is fantastic. We have the Ed Loud character who is out there. He says greetings to all. Kevin's Rambles, Linda Kane, Mikey, Mookie, whichever one it is, Mikey. Stevens, we're in Sussex. Good evening, some light entertainment. Found work very hard, he says. Oh my goodness, yes, I can imagine that you did. Philip Hammond is out there. Stephen Musco, hello to you, Stephen. Nice to see you. The lovely Julia, of course. Andy, Audrey Forbes Hamilton, hello there. Les Jarvis, Anne Osborne, Fiona Cooper. Nice to see you, Fiona. I understand that you're celebrating truck drivers over entertainers, looking at a post that you put out earlier today. I felt very low that I was now goodbye to them, no longer important. I thought, all right, fair dues, I know my place. We're in Sussex, says, and when you get up at 4:30 a.m. and home at 7 p.m, no chance of any food in the shops, no. And it's not even as if it was British Rail where you could have had a lovely, absolutely solid pork pie to enjoy. Breaking your teeth on that on the way home would have been a bit more fun. Peter May is also there. Andy Dalgleish. Wiser 4. I don't know if that's how you say your name, but good evening to you. Andy Stacey, I may have already said. Oh, hang on, it's just leapt down. I've got a list on my left, and I'm trying to scroll to see, make sure I don't lose anybody. We do our best. Cynthia's Camera, hello to you. Andrew Kendrick, hi to you. Veg Grower Podcast is out there. Barbara Charles is salutations. Well, how lovely. People are so nice. Mark Donny McLeod, how do? Ernie Tallyho is out there. Richard and Julia just had Friday's fish and chips. Oh, did you go to the chippy? That's marvellous. My son Billy heard the news that the gyms are closing up and down the country, and that as of tonight, I think sort of midnight, they must all be shut and nobody can go to them. And the Prime Minister said, please don't go out and make a last-minute bash of it. My son, who's 23, something like that, he said, I said, where are you off to then? He said, I'm going down the gym. I said, what do you mean? We're making a last-minute bash of it. Yeah, now, if that's my son, I bet that is replicated up and down the countryside. It is just a nightmare. Kathy Owens, hello to Kathy from Los Angeles. Not well, locked in, and she's 67. Bless you. I hope that you are going to be okay. We are sending all our love and affection and hugs and everything to you. Anybody, even those who are just, got the common cold. Now, if you've got the common cold, if there's a slight ache in your limbs, we all made to feel like, oh my God, I must have got it. The slightest, normal thing that we would have just gone, oh, bloody sniffle. No, that's the full-on coronavirus, and we're going to be dead by Christmas. You just feel like, oh, is this it? Is this the end? Is this the beginning? Is this how it starts? Is that how you feel, Kathy? I'm sure, actually, you'll be fine. But you do feel, you go into the supermarket. I had a bit of a head cold recently. I've still got the end of it. I went into Morrison's, and I was very aware that my voice was not 100% when I went into the supermarket there to buy. I thought, I'm not opening my mouth because I expected everyone to turn and look at me and go, with absolute horror, thinking, he's got it, he's passing it back. And there will be those people, sadly, I bet you we'll have stories soon where there'll be those people, someone sneezes and someone will go, suspected and go, so I dealt with them. Just like they do in North Korea, apparently. Vicky Allen is out there. Robert Brailsford, hello to you. Lovely to see you. Kevin's Ramble says, what jokes? Yeah, thanks, mate. That usually you're the butt of my jokes. I've waited for someone for years to be at the butt of my jokes, because I used to be the butt at the jokes. Now I have my own butt. What? Anyway, Ernie says, oops, minus Julia. What do you mean, oops, minus Julia? Julia's at home. She's got a life, I don't have a life. She comes in once a week. I come in every day. She's got a little baby and a bigger son to look after, as well as an even bigger son, or a bigger baby. He goes out to work, though. Mary at Genealogy says, hello to everyone. Judith, good evening to you. Vicky says, I had a feeling... hang on a minute. I've just lost you now, Vicky. Where are you? I had a feeling... Is that like I had a dream? I had a dream. Where did you go? Hang on a minute, Vicky. I've lost you. I had a feeling something was wrong with the internet. Ah, yes, something is definitely wrong. More people are on it. Hi, everybody, says Ian Beddoes. Hello to you, Ian Beddoes. Lovely to see you. Thanks for coming in. He says, seem to be most things in Tesco. I went to Morrison's, as I said, this morning, and it was a relief because the shelves had fresh vegetables on. People were coming in through the doors, grim-faced, with their bags and their trolleys, and they were coming in like this, with determination. And then they went, oh, actually, there's stuff on the shelves. And slowly they started to lighten up, which was great. Vicky Allen says it's Anne Osborne's birthday today. I didn't know that. Is it Anne Osborne? Anne, are you out there? Happy birthday to you, Anne. We should all start singing. I daren't sing it because YouTube might use the copyright, because it's actually copyrighted theme, apparently. David Hawkins, hello to you, David Hawkins. How are you? And condolences on the very bad news, but we'll try and take your mind off things. It's not like your life has, become bad enough, but we've got this virus going round, and now you're subjecting yourself to the Vobes show as well. Oh, my goodness. But our thoughts are definitely with you. And it's lovely to have you here. Thank you for coming along. Robert Croser says, BR pork pies are great doorstops. Yes, I used to use them as paperweights back in the day. When I was at school, I think it was when I was at school, they were still British Rail. I can't remember. Steve Dobbing, good evening. Good evening to you, Steve. Lovely to see you. Peter May. Richard, you seem more energised and healthy today. Yes, I am a bit more energised. The old head cold now seems to be on its way out. Thank goodness for that. I've got a cup of tea on standby to keep the old throat going, which is nice. Veg Grower Podcast says, yep, restaurants closed. Now he has no work. But he does have work because, sorry, it's a bit chilly in here. He does have work because I told him, you've got to get your Veg Grower Podcast out more frequently and make more videos, because the nation are going to want to have something to do in their gardens, and growing food is going to be the best thing. So that will be good. Vicky says, I'm here tonight. Hello, Vicky. Nice to see you. Victoria, even. Lovely to see you. Thank you for coming along, which is fantastic. Audrey, lost you. Where have you gone, Audrey? Audrey Forbes Hamilton says, I've been shopping today, got everything I wanted. More stock in the shops than earlier in the week, less panicky. It had to happen. That little spike. Because now there'll be a lot of people who will not be going, thank God, the greedy ones, they won't be in the supermarkets for a while, because they've actually now got to eat copious amounts of pasta, and they can be wiping their bums till Christmas. And hopefully when they do come out, they will be the sweetest smelling, sanitised people on this earth, squirting that stuff up every crevice they have, let's hope. Ed Loud says, no gyms. When all this is over, I'll blame my beer belly on that and pretend I had a good figure before. Good man, that's the ticket. Dean Cooper says, hello, Richard, and the viewers. Hello, Dean. Glenn Johnson says, 4 shops to get wine. So the essentials have gone. The sanitizers and the thing I just talked about, the bum rolls, the loo rolls, they've all gone. But now there's a run on the alcohol. Now it's becoming serious, and people really are trapped at home. This is going to be difficult. I do think, on a serious note, I do know somebody who is an ex-alcoholic, And I do worry that people who have, you know, been an alcoholic, have managed to shift the alcoholism, perhaps go to AA on a regular basis and all those sort of things. I don't know whether they would be able to still go to an AA meeting where they sit round and tell their story and confess to being an alcoholic and what have you, which often keeps a lot of them off the booze. Now stuck at home, whether the temptation and the ability to cope, on all seriousness, it is a bit of a worry. And maybe alcohol should be rationed because people, they often take substances to get through times, especially times of boredom. Look at what happens to people in prison. And so that is that is an actual worry. So just be careful you don't start drinking too much. Mike Dixon says tonight, hello Mike, by the way, tonight we signed up the contract to buy a beach hut next to a beach at Hove Lagoon. Crazy time to have a beach hut, but at least you've got two places that you can go and self-isolate in. One at a lagoon, the other at home. So, if you get upset by the wife, one of you can go to the other room, which is, perfect, actually, I think. I quite fancy a beach hut myself. My dad did have a beach hut. Then in 1987, we had the giant storm, and the beach hut that he had ended up about a mile inland, never to be seen again. It was sort of like Skittles, the wind came in and off they went, rolling round the harbour. Vicky Allen says, been stuck in for 2 weeks with a chest infection, going stir crazy. I bet, absolutely. Not wanting to go out in just case you catch on something. I mean, that's the irony is that some people may get this damn infection, be perfectly normal and healthy people, but got a cold, and then they get the sodding virus on top of the cold, and then that might make them just as vulnerable as somebody who had an underlying health issue. I mean, I was worried because when I had my head cold, I thought, first of all, is this the bloody thing? And then I thought, but what if I get the bloody thing on top of this bloody thing? Have I got a bloody thing? Bloody life. Bloody life, eh? Where in Sussex, everyone needs to be aware of those who may suffer silently in all of this. Don't worry, I will never be suffering silently. You'll hear about it if I get it, and I will be hoping that people will be knocking on my door, not bolting it up. Yes, you're quite right, though. Health issues will be going through the roof. People stuck inside. It's absolutely important that we do remember that. Mandy of Merrimack is out there. Hello to you. Andrew Kendrick, he says, it will be like at the movies 28 days later soon. Do you know, just as a bit of light relief, I went on YouTube earlier today, and I looked up the 1975 BBC drama series Survivors. If you've never seen that series, or if you remember it from ye old days of the best part of predicting television, just check out the first 20 minutes from the first episode, and you'll suddenly think that that's actually a report from today. Yeah, the NHS was overwhelmed with people being given injections. There was they were talking about the World Health Authority organization worried about the amount of people. But the worst part of it is it starts in with this. I don't know whether he was Chinese or Japanese. This Chinese-looking bloke or this Asian-looking bloke with this vial in his hand, and he drops it and it smashes on the floor. He flies around the world a bit, and then he dies, and this disease, this virus, goes to London. This is in 1975, and there was chaos and turmoil everywhere. And it was as if it was predicted. It was as if, well, surely someone must have looked at that series some time ago and thought, what would happen if a virus came here? What would we do? It is like nobody's actually thought of that or given it the slightest consideration. It is a bit odd. Andrew Norris is there. He says, hello, Vobesters. He's just arrived, which is great. We're going to find out what terrible measures are going on in Croatia in today's show. We've got a lot of videos to play in, actually. We're very, very lucky. Robert Croser, thank you for your video. Couldn't play it in because it's in the wrong format. You need to send, if you do a video, please can you send it in landscape, not portrait? Because when I put it into the machine to get it onto there, it put your face out here. It stretched you out, and I thought you wouldn't really want me to show that. But it is in the Bald Explorer Facebook group anyway, so you've already put it out. So I didn't feel I needed to include it in tonight's show. But, you know, if you send it in widescreen, that would be so much better. Landscape. Linda Kane is out there. Glenn Johnson says, can I be the butt of your jokes, please? Again. Yes, of course, Glenn. I will do my best. I mean, you're very lucky because you've got a brush on your head that if only you could get it down into the right nether regions, you'd never need any loo roll at all. Mary at Genealogy says, starting day 3 of voluntary and now mandatory isolation. Had email from the health department to say a fellow passenger has tested positive for COVID-19. Oh, my goodness. What's your underlying health anyway? And are you a vulnerable and are you at risk? Are you actually watching the show from one of these plastic tents that you see pictures people putting up of the vulnerable people? I hope that you're all right. We are. I don't want to lose any of you. Not even for a minute, you know, not even just to go to the loo and squirt stuff down there. Kevin's Rambles, he says, I coughed the other day and got this look from a lady in Marks and Spencer's food hall, so I said in a loud voice, not everyone who has a cough has the virus. Whereupon the blood drained out of her face and she collapsed to the floor with a heart attack, having been spoken to so rudely by this white-bearded man of Midhurst. Mark Donny McLeod says, how do, Andrew Norris. That's all good. Stephen Agger is there. Says, hi, Richard. I've got a lot of issues. I can't get any tissues. They don't get better than that. I need my badum tish sound effect. And Anne Osborne, yes, 75 today. Bless you, Anne. You're not old enough to be in the bracket where you're the vulnerable, actually. I'm sorry, Anne. You've got another 5 years. You've got to be over 80. And so you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Swinging from the chandeliers. And especially, I think that people who had print machines and printing businesses in their house when they were young, totally exempt from the virus. You'll be all right. David Hawkins has said something but retracted it, which is a shame. I can't see where we are. Anyone who want to guess how long it'll be before we get back to normal? Months, years, very scary, he says. The fact is, we've been told on the news that we may have to have this social distancing for 12 months. Yesterday, we were going to get through it, Boris Johnson said, in 12 weeks. Now it's for 12 months. Somebody needs to make their mind up. Maybe give him an abacus so he can work out months and years and work out the difference. Linda Kane says, hurry up, Glenn Johnson. Ian Beddoes says, somebody claps on the floor on the London Eye this afternoon, but don't worry, they're slowly coming round. Dun-dun-dun. Hey, everyone, a gem, which is great. Chinese economy doing well, says Glenn. He survived everything. Right, I think it's time to have a look at some of our wonderful videos. We've had some fascinating videos. Let me get into the video mode and see who we've got on the video mode. I've got a number of things. Let's start with a troublemaker, shall we? This is Kevin Hall. He's been out filming with a couple of other very nice people. Let's see what Kevin's been up to recently.
Hello, this is Kevin. And behind me
Hello.
is Cynthia and there's Steve.
Hiya.
And we are out on doing part of the, excuse me if the camera's shaking or the phone's shaking, I'm just holding it in one hand. We're out doing the second section of the Serpent's Trail. Second and third sections. I get corrected quite often. But we're doing about a walk of about 8 miles today. So we've been on to Marley Common, Lynchmere Common, and we think this might be called Stanley Common.
No, Stanley Common was what?
Told you. Correction again. Stanley Common.
Stanley Common was what we went on to after Lynchmere Common.
Okay.
Before we got to Liphook.
Okay. So where are we now?
Somewhere between Liphook and this.
That's another common you got me on Saturday.
Yeah, there's another common. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to carry on, and if I remember, I'll do another little clip in a minute.
We'll come back to Kevin a little bit later on and find out how they got on. Lovely to see Cynthia and Steve Musco there. on the Serpent Trail. I did a bit of the Serpent Trail a couple of years ago. Was it last year? Maybe last year, actually, doing a bit of a wander. But they've been doing these long 8-mile walks. My goodness. That's the thing, though. If you can get out into the countryside, so far we're still allowed to do that. If you are totally bored and you need a bit of fresh air and a different perspective, it is certainly worth getting out there into the countryside and doing what you can, which will be fantastic. So we've got some videos from Mike Dixon has sent in a video. The lovely Elaine Brazier has sent in a video. We're going to be looking at that shortly. Of course, we're going over to Croatia to find out the latest in there with our special Croatian reporter, Andrew Norris, which will be superb. And I'm just looking to see what else we've got. I think it's Kevin, the second of Kevin's reports on the Serpent Trail also in the show. Tomorrow is Saturday, so from tomorrow, pubs are going to be shut. Has anyone actually been to the pub in the last 7 days? I'd be interested to know if anyone's actually been into the pubs. I've looked around when travelling about inside pubs and inside places where normally you would expect a large amount of people, and it has been quite deserted. The pub up the road from me, I noticed, had a sign on the door saying, "We're shut." But it wasn't shut because the government had told them. They're shut because they were short of staff. Either they can't afford to pay them, or they've let them go, or what have you. I don't understand, or I don't really understand. Well, I don't understand. I understand nothing. How is the government? I mean, the government's saying, well, don't panic, we're going to pay for everybody. How is that possible? Has anyone actually worked that out? I know Robert works with money things. Robert, you must know, how does this work? I just thought what would happen if we've got this problem is that in the end, businesses should just try and keep going as far as possible, but the government should put us all on a payroll and give us a minimum wage of some, not the minimum wage, but a minimum wage. It could be worked out on some form of tier system, I suppose. But even if it was just right across the board, enough to survive, and then basically any utility should be, like electricity and water and the internet, should be waived. You just basically, you don't need to pay for it. To me, that would, I know that's almost like a Russian state or something like that, or it's like the Labour Party got in or something. But just for the time being, if everyone just knew that we were just going to get an amount of money from the government, and then the government just prints it. I know the whole financial market works in a very different way, but we've got a virus here. We all need food, and we all need water, and we all need a roof over our head, and we need something to keep ourselves occupied with. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know whether the government knows how this is going to work. How do you think? Are you going to survive? Can you survive? What will happen? I'd be interested in your thoughts on that. Let's go back and have a look and see if we've got any interesting clips. There is quite a lot of you out there, and of course you're all typing. So I do try to read out as many of the comments as I can, but if I can't get to them, please don't worry. I don't always think I get to see too many of them anyway. So that would be interesting. So Vicky Allen says, not many people diagnosed in Sussex with the virus, but loads in London. Yeah, you can imagine the cities are going to be where most of it is, because people are rubbing shoulders quite literally to do that. Is Andrew Murphy back out there tonight? I'm slightly worried by Andrew Murphy, who went to the swimming baths, or the swimming pool, who calls it swimming baths, the other night. And I think it was last night he said he went there. And I have to say, are you out there? Have you got any signs of anything? Going in the swimming pool and in the changing room, I just didn't think that was a sensible move. But, I'm not admonishing you publicly. Well, I am, actually. Don't do it again, for God's sake. I just would be interested to know how you feel tonight. Tim Williams says, good evening, Richard. Hello, Tim. Lovely to see you. Dave Ford. Now, Dave Ford, lovely to see you there. Well done, Kevin. He says, great video clip. Just so for the record, Dave wasn't around yesterday, didn't know that we were going to play in the clip. If you saw Dave, he was out with his lovely dog Logan, and he was posing the question, where was he in Sussex? The reason Dave's not been around, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Dave, but sadly, his dad died last night, I think it was, and or the night before, well, certainly this week. Nothing to do with the coronavirus, I'd just add for it, completely other reasons. And so, of course, our condolences, Dave, go to you, and I know what it's like. You know, I've lost both my parents. It is a terrible thing, and no wonder you were busy. And on this occasion, we will accept your reason for not being there. But don't let it happen again, you know. Don't let your mum go. But the question was, where was he in Sussex? And the answer was, he was on Ambersham Common. Now, he did send in some lovely pictures, actually, which I haven't put onto the system. But thanks to the wonders of technology, sort of technology, we can do a variation. We can do if I've got into the right mode. Oh, here we go. Every time it clicks onto that, I don't know why that is. Anyway, here we go. This is where he was. Ambersham and Hayshot Commons. It was where he was. Here's the pictures. Here's a bit more of Hayshot. I'm just showing the screen of my laptop. It's near Chichester and Midhurst, between that Graffham and Hayshot Hoyle. Did we not? We went there near there to look at a bunker. There's the bunker we looked at, or a pillbox rather. So there we go. They're the pictures that Dave has pressing all the wrong buttons here. There we go. The technical side of the Vobes is not always 100%. But yeah, lovely to see that. Thanks for that. That's a place, for those that don't know, it's a place in Sussex, in West Sussex. So that's very nice. Linda Kane is saying, will we get to see Elaine at last? Well, we're gonna play in Elaine's video next, actually. So we'll play that in a second. Tim Williams has said it's... I've read that. It's good to see you. Da-di-da. Dave Ford says, great to see the video clip. It's nice when the person doing the video actually tells the viewer where they are, isn't it just? So that's that. David Keel says, we're thinking about you and your situation. Have I missed something there? Tim DeShazo. Let's have a look. Have I missed something? Just tell me again what your situation is. Oh, hang on. Have I just seen it there? I have terminal cancer and I'm not scared of it. Tim, that's a blow when you're doing a live show. You know, nobody expects someone to suddenly come out with that. Terminal cancer. Well, how have they given you a date? I mean, I'm being very rude and nosy here. How long have you got? I mean, I have thought about that. Have you thought about your mortality? And what does it really matter if we do go? I mean, there is nothing that we can do about it when the time comes, if it happens. I suppose, really and truly, we just don't want it to be painful. We don't want to be suffering in a horrible, agonising way. But if it just, you know, if we all fell asleep, if this virus was that we just fell asleep at night and we didn't wake up, would we be quite so worried about it? I mean, we worried for our generally, I think we're worried for our friends and our relations and people we know. We're worried about them because we would miss them. But is that really us worrying about how we cope? You know, I think I miss my dad, but my dad doesn't miss me. He's dead, but he doesn't miss me, but I do miss him. Same as I miss my mum. It's a strange mental exercise, is it not? Dave Ford, I read that. Sorry about it. I'm just trying to catch up with the comments because they're all over the place. So serious condolences to Dave's dad. There's a lot of condolences in today's show, of course. Philip Hammond said it's the people we leave behind that suffer. Exactly. That's exactly my point, really. Vobes, says Jeff Kellison, and the old man Kevin would miss me. Yes, of course, we would miss you. Jeff, we would miss you. We would certainly miss the gifts, that's for sure. I must dig out the picture and get that on the show next time. Right, let's find out what Elaine has sent us on the vid. Oh, that's Kevin. Hang on a minute. Hang on, Kevin. It's too early for you to come back. Now, how do I get back into that? I've got to turn Kevin off. Hang on, let's turn Kevin off. go back into... This is a funny old way of doing it. Right. Elaine's video, Elaine has decided to show us a lovely place, which I think is in Kent, where she lives, is called Eltham. Let's have a look at Elaine Brazier's video of Eltham. Oh, how lovely to see both Duck Street and Cock Street there, where Audrey Hepburn lived. And also there was the hearse carrier, which was very apt for today's show so far. Thank you so much, Elaine. That's absolutely brilliant. How lovely. Now, Andrew Kendrick says, Richard, when are we going to see some drone footage on your outings? It's been a while since you unpacked it. I know. It has been a while. We've had so much wet weather, and now we've had windy weather. And those odd days, do you know, we very nearly did it the other day. I was chatting to Julia, and I said, look, what should we do? And I said, well, why don't we take the drone out now? And we were trying to work out where to go. And then, of course, I realised, you know, it was a day when there was no wind, excuse me, and we could do it. And then I realised, of course, the batteries had been charged up, but it had been a couple of weeks since I charged them up. So put them on charge again. So then it was another hour or so before they were on charge. And then, of course, there was this whole business about updating the firmware. Now, I've no idea. I've never done updating firmware on a drone. I watched a video about it, and the bloke who was updating his firmware on his drone, he also, whilst he was doing that, had an issue with the update. He says, you've got to get this right, because if you get it wrong, you can ruin the whole drone. It would just, you know, the software will fall over. And he was showing the video, making the video, and he had an issue himself. And I thought, my God. And he left that in. He did get it working, though. And then you've got to set up the calibrations. And well, you know, I was looking at fiddling and time was ticking. I said, look, Julia, we haven't got time to do all of this. I've got to do this on a down day. And of course, since then, we've now got into this coronavirus. And my time now is very much about trying to get these videos out. And also now doing these live shows to keep people entertained. And I do hope to get round to doing some of the drone footage, but I'm afraid, and as lovely as a present it is, it's one of those things that I really want to put the drone footage into very special projects, because again, when you're out filming, it's another thing to carry, and then you've got to go and collect the drone footage and maybe spend half an hour doing that footage, knowing where you've got to edit it in, and then carry on with the walk. Other people seem to make it look easy. I don't know how they do make it look easy when I have yet to get it into my workflow, and I need a bit of time to sort of work that out. So meanwhile, I'm just trying to keep the videos going. And of course, today was one of the typical day for me. I was out with the lovely Julia, and I'd seen a couple of other people's videos, and they had made, fairly reasonable videos. They had loads and loads of views, in the 20,000s type thing. And I'm slowly getting views on my videos. And then I looked at how many videos they make, and they might put 1 or 2 up a month, and they're getting 20-odd thousand views, and I'm bunging one out every day and not getting anywhere near any of that. And it was just one of those days when you should never compare yourself to anybody else, because there's always somebody who's going to be much more successful and better at it. And you just think, how do you manage to do that? I'm struggling. I'm trying to do the best I can, and run the group and, all the other things. But one can only do one's best. And then, of course, people are saying, yeah, when can we have the drone footage, Richard? When can we have that? It's like, yeah, I know. Trying to save the world here. Thank you. We're doing our best. Could drive the Flown over my allotment one day, says Vedra. Yes, well, I'd love to do that. I took a test. You have to say, I can't remember anything in this test that I took. I don't know if you have to do this test every year. I mean, it's pretty common sense, really. Basically, it's about not flying into airports and things, and keeping your distance from people's privacy, more or less, and don't go over built-up areas and that sort of thing. I think it's fairly basic. So that's really that. But I will. I mean, I need at least a couple of days or two of promised sunshine or no wind. I don't want to fly. I'm very nervous about this thing taking off and then immediately crashing. I've been out with some of these people in the long distance past who have spent years crafting one of these remote controlled aeroplanes. And they've got these remote controlled aeroplanes, and I've been out with them years and years ago. I used to I had a mime company called the Third Floor Mime Company. And I did a production called Tiny Aeroplanes. And we went out with this guy who had built these tiny aeroplanes, these model aeroplanes. And one of the ones, he said, I spent 3 months making this, and this is my maiden flight. He flew it, something went wrong, it crashed, and he was in tears. Taking him 3 months to put this thing together, first flight. So I'm very nervous about, these guys, you see the drone guys on the YouTube, and they just go, yeah, you do this. And you think, yeah, but you've been doing it for bloody years, Me, it's got 4 of those things going round, and you've got to get it up, and it's gonna. I never flown anything like that, so I'm very nervous. And of course, I didn't pay for it; it was a gift, so I really don't want to break it on the very first flight. So I'm just a bit nervous about doing it. So we will get there. Is there a special rucksack you could carry the drone around in, says Victoria. There probably is. It's coming. I've got a nice case for it, actually, but I've also got a rucksack for my camera stuff. I mean, in the end, you're taking a whole load of stuff with you. The drone stuff is going to work best when I can park the car fairly near where I'm walking, do all the drone stuff, and then put the drone back in the car. But then I'm also nervous about leaving gear in the car when going for walks, because I was with the lovely Julia, and we parked the car when we were near Portsmouth, Fareham Way, and Julia will vouch for this. And we parked the car. We walked about 100 yards down by this little canal, and the car was broken into, and her bag was stolen. It was the snatch and grab. It was smash and grab. So that's, this is all expensive stuff. I couldn't replace it. I'm not earning a great deal of money. Well, I'm barely earning any money at the moment, like so many people. So just very nervous about leaving anything in the car, also about carrying it with me. Andrew Norris says, Richard, don't compare yourself to other YouTube sites. Remember, you are unique, and it always takes a while for others to discover you, but you're getting there. Yes, I appreciate that. We must actually go over to Croatia now. I think that's a good moment to go over to Croatia and see what is happening in the world of Andrew Norris and how they are coping with coronavirus.
Hello, Vobesters. These posters went up on every building yesterday, the 19th of March, giving instructions on what one should do and how one should take care of yourself. I must say I've been pretty impressed by the response of the government here. Pretty drastic, shutting down everything, but I suppose in this climate it has to be done. But I'm going to take a ride on my bike today and check out what the city looks like under these conditions. Bus station's empty of people. These posters are giving advice in English and Croatian. Avoid large groups of people and public gatherings. Regularly wash your hands. So there's public service information going up everywhere. Look at the tram. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 people in the tram. So there's the main cathedral, and this street is known as Cafe Street because practically every shop is a cafe, but it's all closed up now. Our painting seems somewhat metaphorical at the moment. But the market's still thriving. That's a good sign. And this is the main square. It usually has a lot more people milling around. This is how it looks on Friday the 20th of March, the main square.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andrew, for giving us the report from Croatia. Fantastic to see all the colours and that great big blue tram there. And yes, all the pubs and cafes in Cafe Street are all shut down, which is a bit of a blow. You can imagine just how busy that is. That was a huge looking square. And the market, I've seen you put pictures up of the market before, and that did look very, very busy, and in comparison, very quiet. I think I do wonder though, has anybody thought about this? I mean, they're saying we've got this for a year. Okay, so let's say this goes on for a year. In another couple of weeks' time, do you think that, we're all on this bit of a shock at the moment? We're all shocked by the news, and it's escalating, and things are closing, and we're going, okay, what now? What now? What now? But we are quite stoic, really. And I just wonder how much that tentatively, that although the places that will be forced to be shut will be shut, but I just can't help thinking that tentatively people will come out, the cabin crazy bit. And really what it will be a herd action, that some people will come out and others will be twitching, looking out their curtains and thinking, look, Mrs. Jones has come out. Look, Mrs. Jones is out. Maybe we should go out. And slowly and surely over, a fortnight's period. Sorry, that's not a computer game, by the way. That's a time period. I get sick and tired of children telling me about this game they're going to be playing in a fortnight. But then they sound as if they're playing it now. But they keep telling me they're going to be doing it in 2 weeks' time. It just drives me bonkers. But I reckon in that sort of time period, people will start creeping out, and I don't know, congregating and things will relax, because you know what the news is like. The headline news can only surprise you and keep you on the grip if it's new. If it's the same old story, people are dying all over the place, the NHS can't cope with it. After a while, it's like, yeah, and tell us something new. That's, don't care. It'd be quite interesting to see how this plays out, because a crisis can't stay a crisis, because a crisis is is a peak, isn't it? It's a peak of something. But when that something, it's like chronic pain and the other one. Chronic and, what's the other word I'm looking for? Chronic and the other one. Somebody will come up with it. You've got chronic pain and so chronic is when it's all the time, and the other one is acute. So you've got acute pain, which is like what we feel that we're in now, acute pain with everything. And then there's the chronic. But when people are in chronic pain, it's like, well, I've got tinnitus in my ear, or I've got this elbow that every time I move it. In the end, you just stop talking about it. So what will be the news headlines that will make people talk in the future? I don't know. I can't keep George in, says Fiona Cooper. He hates being inside. Yeah, but at least he's got the garden, and his dad's got that endless garden and loads of sheds. I mean, he's got a maze of sheds. I've been there. I've seen his place. David Hawkins says, I've stopped watching the TV news. Absolutely, far too stressful. Croatia looks a lovely place. Yeah, I think we're all going to be going over there. I think Julia was building an ark to take us all in there. I must ask her how that's going. China is now getting back to some normality. That's interesting. So I don't understand that. China is what? It was in December that they had it, wasn't it? December, January, February, March. So they've had 4 months of it. How come over here, when we've got a snippet of the population that they have in China, that it's going to take us 12 months? Why is that? Can somebody explain that to me? If we can believe what China reports, says Andrew Norris. Well, that is the other thing, is it not? I don't suppose that we will be having any of the how is it they pronounce it, the Huawei stuff in our 5G when we ever get that. I don't think people are going to trust anything coming out of China. I did see an interesting clip of something on a YouTube channel talking about China. It was Donald Trump was calling the virus. He was saying the Chinese virus, and a reporter was saying, "Why do you keep calling it the Chinese virus?" And Trump says, "Well, because it came from China." And the reporter said, "That's just so racist." So it's not racist. It came from China. There are some interesting theories. Whether they're conspiracy theories, I don't know, but they knew about this well before and could have done something. I don't know that this is really going to help the Chinese reputation around the world. No disrespect to individual Chinese people, of course. Trouble is, China are allowing people in again, so we don't know whether there's going to be another outbreak. Andrew Murphy says, "Hi Richard, my mum said that you were worried about me. I'm fine. Thank you for reaching out." Andrew Murphy, we were worried because you went to the swimming pool. That's why we were worried, with all those other people. But I'm glad your mum was watching out for you, which is fantastic, superb. You look after yourself. We're looking after, trying to look after all of you and make sure none of you is in any peril. Linda Kane says, that's what they're saying. I think what we need is another Austin Powers film to take our mind off that. We need a Dr. Evil, don't we? And not a virus. That would be much easier. Linda says we don't need 5G. Well, that's true, but we could certainly do with 5G if they're going to throttle back the internet now. Everybody's on it. There's another reason to be getting it, although we don't want all the trees chopped down as a result of that. You'll be surprised how many goods we have from China. Well, that's true, but maybe it's time that we started to make the things ourselves again. be a little bit more self-sufficient. Perhaps this has taught us a bit of a lesson that globalization is not necessarily the answer. It's a project we've tried, we've been bitten by it. Do we really want to do that again? If Survivors broadcast in 1975 suggested that this could be an issue and nobody's done anything about it, and here we are living the reality of it, maybe the project globalization isn't as good as we once thought, not quite as robust as we thought, or at least our measures of dealing with it. Maybe we need to go back to local people doing local things, you know, having your blacks, not literally as in the old days, but effectively having your blacksmith and your baker and your candlestick maker local, and the farms supplying the towns and villages local to them. I'm not saying that we have to go back to anvils and men doing the banging and all of those things, but I'm the principle that we make our own stuff. And do we really need all the tat that we get in there from China and all these places? Do we really need all of that? My house is full of stuff that I don't really need. You know, maybe we can think again. And perhaps if we don't need all that stuff, we don't have to worry too much about the climate, and we don't have to worry about the pollution and all the plastics going in the ocean. Don't know. Mike Dixon says, they say that 80% of us will eventually become infected. What about the other 20%? Are they immune? Perhaps they are all supermen. Because those 20% will be the elites, of course. It's all of this is because we dared to vote for Brexit, don't you know? That's what this is. This is a penalty for having voted for Brexit. Stephen Agger says the only thing I trust from China is the takeaway. Well, there you go. Fantastic. And in the days gone by, you never used to be able to trust that. You know, you weren't sure if you were eating a rat in there. I guess these days, thanks to the British health, we can actually trust these things. Spectrum is Green says, hi Richard, we should rename the virus Kung Flu. Like it. Andy Dalgleish says, yes, I remember Survivors and the scary opening sequence. And that does seem to be what has happened. I mean, it just seems to be exactly that someone has, dropped the vial of this terrible bacterial virus, this killer virus, whatever it is, probably not bacteria, probably made that bit up. And the guy was travelling about, wasn't he? And you saw in the opening the different passport locations stamped, and everyone was dying from it. It's a very interesting thing. It doesn't take 5 minutes. What? It doesn't last 5 minutes. Tate made in China. If it's made in China. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Nigel Sadler is here. He says, hello everybody. Sorry I'm late. Had a family evening watching yesterday. What were you watching yesterday? Robert Croatia, great film from the 1970s. The Amiga Man was very pertinent. Rat or a Bat says, yeah, well, hope that wasn't in the Chinese takeaway that we were talking about earlier. It's time now to go to another of our videos, and Mike Dixon has sent in a lovely video, which I'm thrilled to share with you, if I can get over to it. Mike Dixon, that's better. Mike Dixon, hang on, have I got the right thing? Yeah, there we go, got it. Mike Dixon, pay attention. Where are you and what are you up to?
Hello from Worth Park in Crawley, which is, I personally think it's one of the most beautiful park areas in Sussex. A bit hidden away on the estate was the original kind of Downton Abbey house, which became a school, and then they had a fire, and the whole estate was eventually taken over by Crawley Corporation. And now there's housing and a big public park. So you've got the formal gardens, which are kind of behind me, and then just in the distance down there you've got a lake which has wonderful bird life. Often you see herons fishing, so it's a beautiful area. Just show you the waterfall, the formal waterfall. There's also some bowling greens, and it's just a beautiful area that's kind of hidden away. And literally only half a mile or so away from one of the largest airports in the world, obviously Gatwick. But it's absolutely beautiful and sunny here today, and I thought I'd share it with you. A little bit of good news. Okay, many thanks. I'll hand you back to the studio. Bye.
There we are. Excuse me. There we are, the lovely Mike Dixon. Now get back to your beach hut, your brand new beach hut. Fantastic. Hoping to do if I haven't got the coronavirus there, hoping to do a walk with Mike very soon. Would be very nice. We will, of course, keep respective distances. But yeah, it would be great to do a walk with you. I noticed in that video, did you notice that? There was this grand staircase that went to this sort of 1960s block of flats. Presumably that's where the mansion, that must have been the south part of the garden. So that's all very exciting to see at Worth. And I believe the church at Worth is worth, excuse the pun, worth going to visit. Before we go, we will be catching up with Kevin and friends to find out what they've been up to. But if you would like to send in something, and I'm urging you to send in a little video. Do send in a video. You can do it on your phone just like everybody else. Film that way round, not that way round. That's why Robert's video can't be shown. It just the system doesn't really like it. It's better if you film it that way round in landscape. Send it to me via WeTransfer. You'll see the instructions. It's all in the description below. Andrew Kendrick says, it's my first time on the Vobes show tonight. Andrew, you're very welcome. He says, enjoyed it. Good job, Richard. Done. Well done. See you next week. I have to leave the chat and laugh for and good company. Oh, well, not to worry. Thank you so much. I do sometimes bastardize what I read out because I'm trying to read it out as quickly as possible. But thank you so much for coming along. And anybody who is new to watching tonight, you're very welcome. I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow and on Sunday. But next week, the lovely Julia and I are away for 3 days in Hampshire. I don't know that we will manage to get any live stuff done because I've only got my 4G phone. I don't know what the situation is. So you'll get 3 days off and then I'll be back again for a while. I was hoping to go on a trip to Oxford, but that's been cancelled. The Airbnb's been cancelled. But this one, they say they're quite happy for us to go in and stay in the room. It's a separate building, so we've got our rooms completely separately. It's like a, little, I can't remember, it's a barn, I think. And the lady said that we'll just leave the key in, you go in and do your stuff. And we're going to be walking around the Hampshire hills and trying to find paths that nobody else is on, obviously. Assuming that both Julia and I have not contracted anything in the meantime. Let's catch up with Kevin and find out whether he actually managed to get out of the Serpent Trail or what happened to them. Kevin, are you all right, mate?
Hello, Richard. Kevin here. Guess what? It's raining. We couldn't complete a walk without it raining. We've just dropped down from Rake, still on the Serpent's Trail. Probably got about another 1.5 miles to go. There's a sign over there pointing this that way. But it's been a good walk. And how many miles of the Serpent's Trail today? 8?
8 and a bit.
8 and a bit.
8 and a bit.
Plus we got a bit more to get back to the car.
They're there. Steve's hiding. That's it. So I'll tell you what, we'll make this the last video today, I think. So we're going to press on that way. And we'll see you on another one. Bye. Bye.
Ah, bless him. There we are. The lovely Kevin. We do love Kevin. He is, sometimes I do take the mickey, but I don't really mean it. He knows I loves him. Not in a physical way, you understand. It's the beardy hair. Just gets stuck between your teeth. Anyway, Richard Suggett says, am I live tomorrow? Yes, you're invited to come down if you wish to join me in the studio. And get you on. Maybe we can cook something up on the immersion hub. Or is it the whatever it's supposed to be called? It's not an immersion hub. I've got that in the whatever. Anyway, if you fancy coming down and doing the show, leave any viruses at the door. Bit like foot and mouth in this place. There will be a little wash that you have to go through. Andrew Norris says, how will we survive without the Vobe show next week? I have no idea, but I hope you don't find another channel to watch. We will be back. We'll be back on Wednesday, but I'm not sure what time, but hopefully by 8 o'clock. So you never know. Wednesday may be the first show back. And maybe I can persuade the lovely Julia to put up with me for just that little bit longer to come in and do the live show before she goes home. Who knows? She may have had quite enough of me, and she will have little Joe, so maybe that's not so good. We've run out of time. I apologise for not getting round to all your comments, but other people can read them. Don't forget you can go back and reread the comments and all of that. Do look after yourselves. Please do send in your videos. It really works very well. I will be here tomorrow and Sunday at the same sort of time, 8 o'clock, trying to keep you entertained. And if you've got news and reports, I mean, tell us how things are going on in where you are. We want to keep everybody connected. It's your conversation, and you mean a lot to me. And I know that as a group, people are making friends and all of that. And so that's brilliant. But for now, thank you so much. Tomorrow, the lovely Julia and I will be out on another little walk on our videos on the Bald Explorer. So do go and support that. Also, if I just very, very quickly do that and that, you can make a donation if you so wish. Please don't donate any money if you can't afford it, but if you've got a little bit of pocket change to keep me in underwear, that would be nice. PayPal me at richardvobes.com. And that's it, really. Thank you so much. It's been superb. Take care. See you again, same time tomorrow. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.